Hey everyone, my name is Spencer Bauke. Welcome to week 3 of Workout Wednesday Power BI Edition. This week we're going to be adding a slicer to our report, as well as adding some interactivity and different colors for our metrics. Let's hop into this example to show you the outcome of what we're trying to build this week. As you can see, I have my slicer here to my top right that allows me to filter for our year. And then I'm able to go in and click on my conference and the conference breakdown below, and the rest of my report filters. I also have different colors for each metric. I'll talk through how I did that briefly at the end, but let's hop right into our solution this week. So I created a copy of that report tab without the interaction, and you can see that I don't have a slicer at the top. I'm going to add a slicer by going to my visualization pane and clicking on slicer. It's like adding another chart type or visual element to your report, except it's a slicer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the field that I want to slice by, in this case, year, in my field. So if I clear out my search, you'll see all the tables that you have available, and you're able to search for year. So I'm going to take my year and I'm going to drag it to field. Now you see that the slicer has populated with your year field. You're able to go to the top right. You see this little down arrow? If you click on your down arrow, you're able to choose from a few options of slicer displays. So we can have this show as a list. We can also have it show as a drop-down. And if it's a numeric field, you can have it show either as in between or then greater or less than slicer selection, as you see here. For our use case, I'm actually going to have it as a drop-down. So let's drag this to make it fit into our report. Oh, you can see it's still a little too big. I can actually go here to format and have the background turned off, which will make it a little bit easier. There we go. So now you can see our year slicer at the top right. Let's click on the slicer and let's filter for the year, just randomly 2013. You can see my report filtered, but my trend lines are really of no use now. If you only have 1 year for a trend line, it's not of much use. So how do we get the rest of the report to filter, but my trend lines to stay the same? Well, this is where we're going to go to our format ribbon that is available once we click on the slicer or any chart element, and then click Edit Interactions. You're going to see these little options pop up next to all of the other elements on your report. Some of them may be hidden depending on where your visuals are located. I'm going to move these out here real quick so we can see them. But when we click on our slicer, we're going to see how this slicer interacts on a click with all the other elements in our report. And you can see that you have a couple options. You can have it filter, you can have no action, and then when we click on other chart elements, you're going to see that it's able to either highlight or do some sort of other action. So you can see here when I click on one of these conferences, it can also highlight a chart element, or a report element, excuse me. So what I'm going to do, because I want it to filter everything but the trend lines, I'm going to go through and make sure that all of my settings here are appropriate. So I want all these to be set to filter, which I can click none, but I want to actually have it filter. So this is good, this is good, this is good. Here I want this none. I want to see my trends still. I don't want to have just 1 point. 1 point in a trend line is not very useful. I still want these to filter. I'm going to move these back to their appropriate locations using my nice handy grid lines. And we're good. So now if I click off of 2013, it'll go back to my original view. If I go to 2013, all of my other report elements filter down for the year 2013, except for my trend lines. Awesome. So that's requirement one. Now we need to have some interaction between our conference bar charts and the rest of the report. So using the same concept that we just had, I'm going to click on my bar chart here for revenues, and I'm going to go to format, and my edit interactions is already on, and I'm going to see how it's interacting with the rest of my report elements. Well, if I click on SEC, I can expect that these metrics will filter, but I don't think my trend line will. And they do not, which is a shame because I actually want to see my profits, or excuse me, my revenues, expenses, and profits filter when I click on my conference. So I'm going to click on my bar chart here, and I'm going to switch this to filter. Now, again, I can't see these, so I'm going to move these out, click on my bar chart. I'm going to have them selected to filter. I'm going to move them back because I'm pretty confident that this will work. Now I'm going to click on SEC, and I'm going to be able to see the rest of the report elements filter. Now, as you can see, my other bar charts are highlighted. Honestly, that's pretty okay with me. I actually like that because I don't want these to filter down to one conference. That's pretty boring. Later on, we're going to show how to drill through and make these conferences turn into teams, but that's going to come at a later challenge, not this week. This week, I just want them to highlight. This is totally fine. So have these selectors be on highlight. You can click on and off. You're able to see the different conferences, and they also highlight where they are in terms of expenses and your profit. So hopefully that's easy enough to figure out. The last requirement, or there's two more requirements, excuse me, is to find out how much money the Mac made in 2016. Well, if we click on Mac here, now we're able to see profits. We're able to go to our trend line, and we're able to see that the MAC, the Mid-American Conference, lost a little over $8 million in the year 2016. We're going to find out later why they lost almost a little over $8 million. But for right now, this is our answer for one of the requirements for this week. So if you got negative $8.29 million in the year 2016, you are right. Now, the last requirement here is to change colors based upon our metric. So it's fairly simple. All we have to do is go on our trend line, go over here to our format ribbon, and we're able to go down to our data colors, and we're able to select what colors that we want for the different charts. Again, this is under data colors, default color, and you're able to select what color you want. You're also able to enter in a custom color and enter in the hex code. What I do, and I'm admittedly not very good at choosing colors, what I will do is I will Google color palettes or 3-color color palettes, and oftentimes in your search results, you can find the hex codes for the different colors that people suggest you putting together, and I will use those. So it doesn't all have to be left up to your imagination. You can search for some online resources, but I would put those hex codes here to have them change the colors of your chart elements. As long as you have your slicer working, your click interactivity working, and some different colors for your metrics, as well as knowing how much money the Mac lost in the year 2016, you are good for this week's challenge. Again, thank you so much to everyone who has been participating. We are overwhelmed with your support. We thank you very much, and we hope you have a great rest of your week. We will see you in week 4 and have a we just hope that you had a great time doing this. Hope you learned, and just know there's more to come. Again, like I reiterated in the first video, if this isn't challenging for you and you know all of this stuff, We're going to get to you. If you're just learning and this is your first week, that's awesome as well. We hope that this is a way for you to learn the tool, gain experience with the tool, and learn some of the basic functionality. So stay with us. And if you do, you are going to be exposed to a lot of different capabilities of Power BI to add to your toolkit. So thanks again for everyone who participated. Have a great week, and we will see you next time.